Some Mondays are better than others, and I'll tell you what, when the Denver Broncos offer up a nice beatdown of the Dallas Cowboys, it makes any Monday a great day. Welcome into the Colorado Prep Show, presented by Upswing. I'm the editor-in-chief of Colorado Preps, Dan Mohrmann. Normally, it's Doug Ottewell, the editor-in-chief of Mile High Sports Magazine, with me, but Doug is, we're going to go back to the Irv and Joe days. Doug is on assignment today. So with me is one of my one of the top premier relievers you're going to see on any pitching staff in the state, James Nokes. James, thanks for stepping in. Thanks for playing the role of Doug today.
Happy to be pinch hitting. Hopefully, I can go yard like Doug would. I know he'd have a strikeout in him, or he'd go yard. So hopefully, I can step up too.
You know, it's that's always the hope. We wouldn't put you in a big game spot if you weren't going to deliver. So happy to have you. We have so much to get into today. Obviously, a lot of football to talk. We had some state champions crowned over the weekend. We have some state champions crowned this upcoming weekend, and we're going to get into all of it. But first, before we get to our guy Jermaine Stafford and Upswing, guys, this is it. The high school football regular season is coming to an end this week, and the road to state begins next week. And that means the Colorado Preps Road to State is also set to begin. We're excited to announce that the Road to State, a football-only program, will air every Tuesday starting next week live on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel, where you're watching right here. We wanted to sit down and talk with coaches and kids about their journey to get either to Pueblo or Fort Collins within the next few weeks. So we went out and partnered with Raising Cane's, and we'll be broadcasting live at Raising Cane's locations in Colorado Springs, Highlands Ranch, Broomfield, Wheat Ridge, and Fort Collins ahead of state championship football. We have a bigger surprise in store that we're going to take some time. We'll announce that one a little bit later. But for 5 weeks, come join us at Raising Cane's to eat some chicken and talk some ball. Next week, we'll be starting the road to state pretty close to James and myself in Colorado Springs at 7585 North Academy Boulevard, TCA, Palmer Ridge, Pine Creek. We're looking at you guys. We want you guys to come down and hang out with us. And like we said, let's talk some ball. Raising Cane's, fuel your game day. And with that, James, as we start every show, we talk about what's on our upswing. I'm going to go first. Doug's not here to brag about how he was right a couple weeks ago, because he called out Riverdale Ridge, a team that had been playing so incredibly well, and they hadn't really faced any top-level opponents, but they were continuing to stack up win after win after win. Well, they scored the upset of the weekend as they took down defending 4A champion Broomfield. And if the playoffs started today, that puts Broomfield in an interesting spot where they would not have a first-round bye. They would face Highlands Ranch and then a potential clash with Pueblo South in the second round. And Riverdale Ridge, you want to talk about a big momentum boost going into the playoffs. They might have gotten one of the biggest ones. We're going to talk about another one of those here a little bit later. But that was fun to see. James, what's on your upswing?
My upswing is a story that came across my desk this weekend, and it's Bristol Buffington. She's a sophomore at Gunnison High School. Last year, she spent 12 days in the hospital because she had the S-curve in her scoliosis-laden spine corrected. A crazy procedure to get it done. Both lungs deflated.
Whoa.
Yes, she came back this year and started running cross country. Now, after both lungs deflated, after her spine straightened out with this procedure, she started jogging for a minute and walking for 3. That was what she did for a week or two. She gradually built that up. She got to the point where she'd run a mile and then rest. By the end of the year, Dan, she set a PR that beat her PR from the previous year. That is why I got into writing stories. That's why I got into journalism. That's why I got into teaching. That's why we do what we do. I spoke to her mom, who was in tears on the phone. She still gets nervous every time she goes up a hill. Oh man, is there EMS up there? What's going to happen to my baby? These are the stories I love to tell. I can't thank them enough for letting me tell it, because that is so candid and private. They let me tell it. What an amazing story. You've got to check this out. She's not going to be in state, but it's just the kind of thing that gives you chills when you think about it.
And that's just outstanding. That is why we get into high school sports. Those are the stories you don't get to see all the time at the professional level, because there it's all about championships. It's all about big dollar contracts. For us, it's about the stories of the kids that are raring to bounce back. And I know our buddy Jermaine Stafford is sitting down there. He may have a thought or two about that, because I know those are the stories that he loves to hear as well. Speaking of Jermaine, he's our guy. You can find him at the Upswing Foundation, located at 7460 South University Boulevard. Fellas, I can't stress enough how much elite training and motivation makes a difference come playoff time, not just in football, but for soccer players, cross-country runners, flag football state champions. Upswing is the place that gives young athletes the chance to train like champions while building discipline, confidence, and resilience. This is not a place that prevents a kid from walking through the door because of cost. Earning an Upswing scholarship can launch a young athlete toward their next big win, and we are at the time of the year where if you don't get your next big win, you might be going home. Check out all the training facilities Upswing has available, and be sure to check out the recovery area. We may just go next week and sit down in the loungers. We will be broadcasting live at Upswing next week, and maybe we'll just sit in those loungers with a 2-hour Normatech session, getting our recovery on while we're doing that. You can find more information at upswingfoundation.org. And with that, we're going to get into our football talk and who else to bring in other than our guy, Jermaine Stafford. Jermaine, that doesn't quite look like Upswing, though. It looks like you're trying to shoot some hoops.
Don't share it's basketball season. Don't share that, Dan. I'm working on my game so I can challenge all my buddies to one-on-one. They have no idea. But yeah, I am located over at the basketball social house today. They are our neighbors. And I said, hey, great opportunity to share the love, right? And get around. And I might just grab one of these balls when you take me off set and see how much I still have it. I'm a New Yorker. I can't shoot well, but I can get to the hoop, right? I can get to the hoop being a New Yorker. But yes, I'm excited to be here.
I'll tell you what, talk to the people over there. Let's see if we can get one of those courts reserved for after our playoff bracket release show next week. And let's see if we can play. Maybe we can go a little 2-on-2, 3-on-3, depending on who all shows up. So, but as always, man, we had so much going on from the football standpoint, Jermaine, and I had to. I got really excited when I see what our guy Aiden Dodge did. That's a kid that we got to know a little bit when we did our magazine shoot at your facility. One of several players who had himself a day as Strasburg beat Kent Denver 33-7 over the weekend. He went for 128 receiving yards and a touchdown, while Cade Hemphill rushed for 148 and 3 scores. Kent and Strasburg were 2 of the 5 undefeated teams in 2A. We're down to 4 now since Strasburg is now a clear top 3 team with TCA and Wellington. Guys, what is a win at this time of the year? A win like that? Playoff, the regular season ends this week. Jermaine, what does a win like this do for a program when you're getting ready to go into postseason play?
I don't want to give you my Shaquille O'Neal is everything, but it is everything, right? It definitely means it is momentum. You think about youth, as you can hear the story from James, and I love hearing about that story, a young lady up there on that Gunnison Mountain. It's everything when you talk about momentum and gives kids something to go to work the next day about. And I think a win like this is huge for a program like that. And how they did it was able to contribute to the narrative of all year, right? Of how they control things all year. Now we know that this works. Let's stay with this type of momentum and going on into the next week. I tell you, more than anything, for the coaching staff, right? So much we talk about kids and how the kids have to show up and the kids must play and this is a big win. But for coaches like this is a huge opportunity for them to grade themselves going into the playoffs and say, this just might work. This is an opportunity for the coaching staff to start to get back to looking at the details that matter. I mean, so much about you see coaches with the little white markers and the little markers they have, or noting everything that's happening during the game. And, people ask, like, why are coaches writing those things down? This is a time of year when they go back to reflect on the first down plays, the third down plays, how many third down and 1 or third down and 2 that we win on this type of play. So this is a great opportunity, great win for them. Great opportunity to use this momentum to go into the next week.
James, complementary football, right? We saw what Hemphill was able to do on the ground. We saw what they were able to do for the through the air, and Dodge being the key recipient of those passing yards. But also, if we look defensively, Ken hadn't been held to fewer than, I think it was 36 points all year. Defensively, now you also get that boost when you're looking at teams like TCA and Wellington who have played well, knowing you can stop a team as well as score. How are you approaching that with 1 week left in the regular season?
And I think what Jermaine said here, Dan, is really important. He's talking about that whiteboard and coaches writing things down. When you win a game late in the season like that, all of a sudden your players' ears get tuned in a little better. Oh, yes, coach. That's what you hear in the huddle. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. When you lose that game, and this is what I'd worry about on the Kent-Denver side, when you lose that game, oh man, what, are we in trouble? This has worked all year. Why is it not working now? You only have 5 days, 4 days really to try and get everybody back pulling the rope the same way. So as a coach, I always liked, let's get that loss out of the way early. I never like to lose. Don't get me wrong, right, Jermaine? But like, if I'm going to lose, let's lose in week 2 or week 3. Then we can go back to the drawing board, see what happened, refine it, and reinstitute new things. When you lose late, all of a sudden, especially if you're kind of like an underdog that's had a nice run, you lose late. That yes, coach, yes, coach, yes, coach. It doesn't come as quickly when you lose late in the year.
And I like what this does for Strasburg. I've been to a playoff environment at that school, and that's going to be a place that is going to rally around that team. And that excitement is going to start building and building week after week. We look at a team like Wellington now, and if for anyone who listened to the Scoreboard show on Friday night with Kevin Schaefer, head coach Travis Peoples acknowledged that Valley has already forfeited their game this week with Wellington. So Wellington has a de facto bye as they go in to be a top 2 or 3 seed in the postseason. But when you've been playing well all year, right? They're coming off a big win over Res Christian. They had beaten Berthoud. They had beaten Eaton, not Ethan. Do you want to keep that momentum rolling if you're that kind of team, or does that 3-game sample size kind of earn you that break to where you can go into the playoffs and you can kind of be refreshed and healthy?
Well, I truly believe so. I mean, it's an opportunity to look at the type of wins that they've had. Definitely Eaton, right? And I'm sure there's an Ethan on Eaton's team, right? But I tell you, when you get wins like that, yes, you start to look at how can we get the X factor, right? How can we use this X factor to help us in the weeks to come? I'm telling you guys, being on both sides of that as a coach and as a player, you're looking for any special mojo to keep these young men and ladies, as we will see later on, ladies in this game of high school football as well. But it starts to help them to find a different type of agenda, right? A headline, to be able to listen and know that they can win games because of this or because of that reason. So, yeah, as coaches, it's been a long time since August, right? So what are you doing to create something new? And I'm not taking anything away from our young people. I believe in it, but I am a performance coach, and I know this. Yesterday's news is old, right? It is very old. Sometimes, what goes on that bullhorn gets very old. And now you have opportunity, as James was alluding to, it's a new conversation now, right? They're listening to me. I could say the sky is green when the sun's out, and they're going to listen and they're going to believe it. So that's the opportunity these coaches have right now.
Yep. Guys, we turn our attention to 5A. It's not going to be the Monster Mash. It's going to be the Arvada Mash. Up at the NAC this weekend as undefeated Ralston Valley takes on undefeated Arvada West. The winner of this game, guys, probably a 2 or a 3 seed when the 5A bracket is released on Sunday. Arvada West is coming off a tight win over Chatfield on it was either Thursday or Friday. Having that playoff mindset in a game like this coming up, is that really kind of the start of this playoff run for those teams? It's still a regular season game. You're in next week. Probably both teams are getting a bye next week, but does it get you in that playoff mindset a little bit early, James?
Yeah, I think so, Dan. And I would like to have this game last too. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because I just said, hey, you hate to lose a game late, but this is like one of those like semifinal kind of games, right? This is like that showdown. I'd like to get out of the way, get my teeth cut right now. If I'm a coach, whether I win or lose, there are teachable moments out of this because I think A West has been just on a roll this year. I am thrilled to see the result of this game. I'm real excited to see the result of this. And I'm of the mindset that iron sharpened iron. And I would rather have my callus built up against the best right now than take a forfeit. I would rather have that callus built up against somebody that just beat on me for 4 quarters. We beat on each other. And then I sit there and win 65-0 because I'm not learning anything from that. I'm not getting better from that. So I think this is a phenomenal way to end the regular season.
Well, and Jermaine, we saw our Arvada West, NIP legend earlier in the year, very, very late in the game. It was in overtime. It was a 2-point conversion play. They know how to win in that kind of environment. I'm not suggesting they're going to lose. I'm not guessing they're going to lose. But if they were to lose that game, are we still at a point with what this team has done this year that it can be a valuable learning experience, and it can almost be like the pivot point that powers them on a deep playoff run?
Well, I can tell you, it will be Halloween, right? And just like any maze that you go to, right? And during this Halloween time, if it's at night, and you turn those corners at night, and there's some spooky creature waiting for you, right? Let's not try to ignore the fact that whoever does win this game possibly goes to the opposite side of that spooky creature being Cherry Creek, right? Let's be realistic about that. So, yes, James said it. This is a playoff semifinal game. This is big because, put all jokes aside, I mean, how that bracket comes out and where your place is going to be huge, right? Who can you face? Who do you want to face in that Elite 8 or in that 4? It's going to be, will it be that legend again in 8? Possibly it could be. So you want to make sure that you go into this game and leave no opportunity where you don't continue to know how to win these games, right? Because this is a time when 1 or 2 weeks of forgetting how we play can end up, being detrimental to a team in the playoffs. We've seen it, right? We see it on every level of football. I tell you, I am a Spartan to heart, but what happened down in Louisiana this past week was very surprising, right? To see, Brian Kelly just be pushed out of there that quick because his team, let's be realistic, he doesn't play. They forgot how to execute and play football, right? And these are high-level college kids. Same thing can happen in the high school level where kids can just forget how to execute and win games. And yes, going into this game, I'm sure the coach up there at Rosser Valley is looking at the other side of it as well, as this is a big brawl of brothers, right? These are two schools that are looking to get it on, in which, I keep alluding to being the Michigan State, last week my Spartans didn't come up well against Michigan, but I do remember that time when they called us a little brother, right? And we went on to beat them handily for the next couple of years.
You don't like that?
No, I still don't like it. And, Mike Hart, and I won't ever forget his name when he said that, Hart, the running back there, he's a running back coach somewhere. He used to be with Michigan, but he's not there. But getting to my point, Roston Valley, they may look at that Arvada as that little brother, right? And in years to come, there's never been those conversations. We've alluded to it all year. We hear that word A West, and it's not something we've been able to say for a long time. So this is also one of those games that I know A West goes out there and with a chip on their shoulder say, let's prove that we belong. Not that we can win games, just win games, but let's go out there and swing toe-to-toe with them and let them know going into the playoffs that we are a team that's going to have to be dealt with because we can play. Not just because we're having a good season, but because we can play.
This is the game to watch, obviously, in the state heading into this weekend. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We'll have complete coverage from our guy, Dennis Ployce, on ColoradoPreps.com Friday night. But, guys, we are approaching that playoff release. As we are watching how this 5A field is unfolding, I have 2 questions for you guys. The first of which is there any particular team that you've been watching all year? And I think I know what Jermaine's answer might be on this, but is there someone specifically trending in the right direction for you?
Hey, James, you go ahead and grab this one. Unlike Doug, I will allow you this, I will allow you to jump in here. Doug never allows me to go first, and he tries to jump on my answers. So since he's away from the house,
what a gentleman.
Yeah, we can be gentlemen here.
We're gentlemen.
I was giving you the floor to give your answer.
Well, I'm leaning towards Columbine. I've had my eye on them. They built the running game up. After a slow start, they got things going, had a setback in there, but then won again. I think that's a dangerous team. So, I'm an Illinois guy, and I'm looking right now at 2 teams, the top seed and the 32nd seed in the Illinois 8A bracket, combined to have like 40 state titles, and they're playing each other in the first round. Would you want that in your first round? Like, I want to play the best, but who wants to play a team that's won and expects to win and knows how to win and can sit there and say, this is my birthright, dude. Relax. Doesn't matter what happened in the regular season. That's an easy pitch for a coach to go, boys, look at those state banners. We're 0-0. get on the field and get after it.
And keep in mind that Columbine is just 2 years off their most recent state championship.
Yeah, I'm going to go along that same type of analogy because I'm still on that sideline, and this may surprise you. It's not the legend that you think. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's not the legend that you think that I'm interested. I'm going to have to go that other place that I had for part of my state championship rings and, being a part of. I think Valor has something to prove, right? I really think Valor, same along those same lines as James. I mean, they have a lot of banners, right, in every class. If you go back and you look at it, they have banners for a year. But I think what the coach there has going on along with the young men flying under the radar and just slowly beginning to build that confidence amongst themselves. I'm very interested, and I think Valor has a great opportunity to go in and do something big there. And that may not surprise a lot of those who've been around me for a long time, because I truly understand how those, soldiers move in silence. There you go, James. Back to from after week 1. Those soldiers move in silence up there in Highlands Ranch. And I think that's the right coach that has them playing well at the right time.
You let James go first so you could take my answer. That's exactly what you did. I'm pretty big on the Eagles right now, and a big part of that might be that since they've made that change and since they solidified that quarterback spot with Titus Heward, the Eagles have just looked fantastic. And if I'll talk to head coach Mike Sanford kind of in passing. We'll shoot a text back and forth every now and then, and he is super high on this kid. He says the kid doesn't miss a throw and that he's playing at a level that he's going to be one of the top, if not the top quarterback in the state for a couple of years. This is a sophomore who's coming in and playing with the ability of a junior or senior. So he has the Eagles rolling. I know that they're excited over there at Valor. They may, at this point, if you can get that offense rolling and running on high octane, maybe that's a way you catch up and maybe pass up Cherry Creek. You still have to slow down the Bruins, and they're a tough matchup for any defense in the state. But Valor seems poised to do something. I don't know if I want to say special, but they're poised to make a really good run when the postseason starts here in a week. And James, you answered both questions with yours, but if we're looking at the bottom 8 of that postseason field right now, I also want to know who you think is going to make some noise. James, you already said Columbine, which no one's going to disagree with the pedigree they have and Andy Lowry's experience as a state championship winning coach. But if you can pull up that index and take a look at anyone else, is there anyone else on the bottom end of that playoff field? And Jermaine, you can go first on this one that you don't want to see if you're in the first round.
Yeah, I would have to say, once again, probably a ringer to how I started out the year. My hope and my pride is going with that Arapahoe team. Mm-hmm. I think the Arapahoe team, once again, they started clicking at the right time. And then they ran into that creepy goblin again in the maze. They ran into Cherry Creek on a Thursday night, but that didn't stop them, right? If you look at it, they won games when they needed to win games. They played Creek. Everybody's played Creek the same way. It's like playing Nebraska in 94, 95. Good luck if you're going to score some touchdowns. So I'm saying Arapahoe. I think it's interesting to see how they've been in position to win those tough games and lost a couple smaller ones. And then one of the reasons I didn't answer that last question with Legend, because they're kind of opposite of that. Legend has scored 50 points for 5 straight weeks, right? It gets a little different when you're scoring 50 points for 5 of the last 7 weeks. You scored 50-plus points. Have you been in that tough game where you're going to have to win a game that's 15-13? You know what I mean? And I mean it that way. 21-14, those type of games. I think Arapahoe is put in point to, go in and face one of these teams in the playoffs and pull an upset and move on to another round.
James, anyone else jumping out at you besides Columbine?
Well, Columbine does stand out. If we're going deep, you can look at some records, but then you got to look at quality of competition, right? So like Fountain Fort Carson has started to get votes, right, for us in our top 10. Like, is that a team that can make noise? They're kind of in that middle of the pack when it comes to playoffs. But do you think that a team that's 5-4, that's a low seed, is that a sacrificial lamb? You know what I mean? So it's hard to find that quality down there because it seems like, and I was thinking about this earlier today. The cream really rises. We've seen that the last couple of weeks where it's like we don't have very many underdogs right now. We even throw Valor Christian out there where they're 7-2. You know, it's a good team, or it's not like it's a team that's going to sneak up and bite people. So I'm kind of struggling to find that. Columbide's the one that stands out for me. If that makes sense.
I'll tell you what, it's so underrated how much playing your best football at the right time, or really playing your best at any sport at the right time, can factor into what you do in the postseason. So the one game that jumped out to me over the weekend that really has me wondering what this team might do was Legacy's win over Erie. Erie has been a perennial top 10 team for us. Legacy, I mean, they've played some of the classic tough teams that you're going to see on the schedule. I know they lost to Mullen a couple weeks ago. They have a loss to Broomfield, defending 4A champion. I mean, they got blown out by Fairview in week 1. And it's just a team that hasn't really found its stride until this Erie game. I mean, Andrew Gardner, he didn't throw for a lot of yards. He only threw for 192 yards, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. And so he didn't have to be, he was overly efficient in that passing game. They rushed for over 100 yards as a team, but he was able to get the job done through the air when they needed to. Head coach Kyle Wright, that's a guy I've known for most of my life, and I think they're starting to buy into him as a first-year head coach. They're starting to listen a little bit more when you get a win like Erie, and all of a sudden coaches telling you about these things that start working on the whiteboard, and those yes coaches come a little bit quicker. So I'm really curious to see what Kyle ends up doing and his Legacy team ends up doing when they reach the season. Speaking of Broomfield guys, I just mentioned them. I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of stunned when I saw that result, not because of what Riverdale of anything having to do with Riverdale Ridge. They've been a great team all year, but Broomfield's only loss was a very close loss to Erie, a 5A team, a rivalry game where it's always going to be the flip of a coin. Quarterback Matthew Marilat went down early in the game. I don't know if it's a season-ending injury, but I would be surprised if he plays this week. And if they can, they're not in that top 8 right now, so they don't get a bye in the playoffs. So they may have to lean on that freshman running back, Cassius Clarvo, to carry them for a few weeks moving forward if Marilat's able to come back. But guys, did you make anything out of that Riverdale Ridge upset? Is that more of a reflection of how deep that 4A field is, or is this just a Riverdale Ridge team that, like I'm saying with Legacy, is playing its best football at the right time?
Definitely flying at the right time, right? And, 2 of those young men, as far as Drake and Dean, I mentioned them last week as upswing, upswing athletes. I just seen them about 10 minutes ago. They don't go to school on Mondays, so guess where they get to come? They get to come train here early, right?
That's why they're so good on Fridays.
Right, exactly. No school on Monday. That school's picking up something, right? I think a school system, it's a whole nother conversation. I'm sure another network we have that conversation on. But, we opened up the show giving Doug his kudos, from weeks back. He stated it. And I'm not trying to steal from him at all. But remember last week, I mentioned that. I mentioned when the conversation came up that I don't feel like Broomfield has faced a team like Riverdale Ridge, right? And it was nothing against the wins that they've had. It was just a matter of the fact of it wasn't a team like this that they had came across with this much speed, this much, physical aspect of it, and some maturity of those kids on that Riverdale Ridge, team. So, they are very deep, and I believe that this, Ravens team is one to be dealt with. Anytime you can take down a Broomfield on a Friday night, I mean, that is huge, right? I mean, you look at that team to start, especially if that team's undefeated, how can you not start to thinking about this may be a real team, right? It didn't happen, they're not a 6-2 team and just happened to show up that night a little bit better than Broomfield. They're an undefeated team, and that's a big win. And on the Broomfield side, yeah, you send good vibes and, wishes for that young man that went down, You never want to see that in sports at all. And the rest of the team is, it is time to kind of step up there. And relying on a freshman to do that, that may be tough, right, going into the playoffs. If anyone can do it, obviously we've seen his skills. That is a freshman that can stand up to that toe. But going back to your original question, yeah, I believe that is that deep in that class. And I'm very interested to see how that plays out over the next couple of weeks with the seeding, because the seeding will be a huge factor of how these teams just match up, how they match up across the board. We've seen some teams play great versus 5A better than they played against the 4A team. So matchups will be a huge factor.
James, again, is that a win that propels a team to and sparks them to make a big playoff run, especially when you factor in the confidence that you get knowing that you knocked off a defending state champion?
Yeah, if you want to beat the man, like if you want to beat the man, you got to beat the man, right? You got to go Ric Flair here. So you beat the man, you got to let out a big woo. I'd be thrilled. I'd be riding high right now. These kids are like, they're floating into school. They're not even walking into school. They are the kings of the castle right now. And I think that's an awesome win for them. What I'd be interested in, Dan, here is the chess match. If Marilat's out for any period of time, right? We're talking about a freshman. Teams are going to start stacking the box.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to give you an opportunity. Have you spent since July developing your second and third strings? Do you have a quarterback that could at least sit there and go, hey, there's 8 guys in the box. We're going to go play action. I'm hitting that tight end for 15 yards. I'm going to have to keep people honest. So you can't just walk a safety all the way up and play them right behind linebackers. Have you developed people, if you have to step in with a backup quarterback, do you have the development pipeline set up where they can comfortably get in there? Do you have a scheme that's going to allow, because how much are you really going to put in with 1 week left? Have you done your homework just in case bad things happen during the course of the year to make sure you're prepared to move on if you lose a guy?
Well, and to answer that question for you, the Alexander Fierro and a sophomore quarterback and Slater Saunders, the other sophomore quarterback for Broomfield, they've combined this year for 27 pass attempts, right? So you got to figure, I don't have the box score up in front of me, but whichever one came in at number 2 after Matthew, my guess would be Fierro. The bulk of those passing attempts came last week. So, you're being thrown into the fire. I mean, and you'd feel a little bit better, right, if Cassius was maybe a sophomore or junior and he had that experience, but that's a lot of pressure to put on a freshman running back. Now, luckily for us, we've had the chance to talk to Robert O'Brien this year, and that's a guy that I think really pounds that readiness into his kids, right? He doesn't want the kid to be afraid of the moment. He wants the kid to meet the moment.
It's the recap, right? This is that recap time. Dan, think about it, James. This is a recap to our season. This is they call the witching hour. This is right. This is the recap moment, chapter of your season for coaches. My mom, she would always have us, we would have our dentist appointments around mid-October, right? And if we passed our dentist appointments and we didn't have cavities, guess what we were able to go to?
You were able to trick or treat.
There you go. There you go, baby. So she made you work up to that point, and she was helping you, creating those strong teeth for the moment that she knew that one night where you're going to go, okay, she gets to know. She's preparing you. It goes back to what James is saying. What did these teams do? What did they accomplish all year long to get to this point now to succeed and have the sweets? And have that moment and where you love to go mingle with your friends and take all that cash in, all that the goodies in. So this is where we are. We're in a recap chapter of a season, and teams have to be prepared for that.
I'll tell you what I like about the situation that Broomfield's in, and I don't like that their player is hurt by any means. But what this is the way that I think this can help them as a team is this forces them to go into this final week against Skyline, which under any other circumstances could just be hey, let's go in, take care of business, do what we need to get done, and get out of there. They have to put together a very solid game plan, and they have to see their guys execute, and they have to treat this like this game is a difference between whether it's a bye or a home game or an away game or anything. Like they get to put genuine stakes on a game that weren't there 2 weeks ago.
It's almost like a play-in game, Dan. You know what I mean? Like you're in, but it's like a play-in game. And I've coached teams that are in that play-in game before. hey, we are game planning for this thing like it is the state championship game because we want to move on to the next level. So, hey, you want that week off next week? We are going all out right here. Film study is spot on. Every rep in practice is super intense. We don't have any bad reps. And as you hinted at, hopefully during the course of the year, it's hard. Jermaine, we know this. You only got 2 hours, 3 hours, if that. You only got a couple days. You can't practice guys right beforehand. You barely hit. It's not like back when I played or when you played where it's like, we're going full contact to the ground every day except Thursday. Like, we're going at it. There are less opportunities to really make sure that that iron is sharp. So this is a big week for Broomfield.
Yeah. And you figure both of them want to get a win to spring themselves into the postseason. Riverdale Ridge already has a league title clinched as a result of that win, but they go to Grand Junction Central, and I think that their goal out there is to solidify an undefeated regular season to kind of validate everything that they've done to that point. So, real quick, guys, just the one question for you this time, not necessarily 2 for 4A, but who do you like? Who's trending the right way for you as we get into this postseason, into the release of these postseason brackets this weekend?
We speaking about 4A here?
Yeah, we're speaking about 4A.
Yeah, I'm
still my answer.
I'm going to stay on top of it. Stay on top of the Ravens, and I think they're doing the right thing, and it's set up for them to do it. You know what they have on Wednesday? They're heading to Grand Junction on Wednesday, right? So what that's going to do is prepare, and that's a team bonding moment, right? This team is now going to be traveling with the JV team out so the JV can play the night before, and they get an opportunity to be away from home, travel as a team. I remember those bus rides, right? That is something special. And to have that at this time of the year is going to be huge. I mean, whoever set it up and whatever athletic director, James, was out there doing it and got them, set where they can go make this trip happen. It was brilliant. It was brilliant to what they have going on now, because I think that's going to help them propel even more stamina going into that week one. And trust me, I don't want to sound like a ringer just because we have some young men that are part of our organization that play for the Ravens, but it's just facts are facts. And what they have, I'm going to stay with the Ravens.
Yeah, and you're never closer to guys than your brothers on a football team, right? I've been a baseball guy. I've been a basketball guy. Those guys that I played football with, those are my brothers. I was in the foxhole with them, and you're never closer because you spend all the time beating the heck out of them in 3-a-days and 2-a-days and practice every week. You're never closer than those guys. And then to take a road trip, that's awesome. Like you are going to be like locked in, dialed in with those guys. But I go in a different direction because it's been my number one team all year. That's Palmer Ridge. Boy, they just lay the wood on people, don't they? Huge line up front. Dan and I, we saw them the other day, and holy cow, that is just a big line. They hit you in a variety of ways. When you think they're going to throw, they run it. They can spread the field vertically. I enjoy the heck out of watching that team. And they're kind of mean. They got a little edge, too, up on that line. Those big guys get a little nasty in the trenches.
The Monument Moving Company.
Exactly.
Monument Moving Company. That's what they called that offensive line a few years ago.
That is just a dirty group.
I have a little bit of a cop-out answer because there's a big game this weekend between Heritage and Ponderosa. I think the winner of that game actually gets a massive, massive boost going in. And I think for a team like Ponderosa, that's the difference between getting a bye and having to play at home in week one. And Jaron Cohen always has his kids dialed in, but I'm sure that they could use another week to get healthy, to get themselves right, and make sure that they're playing the best football that they can. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes out of that one and the rest of the 4A field. And then the release of those brackets is going to be so fun next week. We have 2 weeks left in the 3A regular season. It's the only classification that goes beyond this week, just so that the calendar can match up, so state title games can all be on the same day. Guys, Thompson Valley is still at the bottom half of that playoff seeding. If the playoffs started today, your defending champion with 1 loss on their record, they go on the road. They get Roosevelt and Meade over the next 2 weeks. How much is that going to help a team that's looking to, justify everything that it's done over the last year to face 2 top-line football programs?
Well, I think it's all going back to if you deserve to play, you win, right? And how you continue to play these next couple weeks will be determined, right? Let's be realistic about it. If you are the champion, right, You take it from the champion, right? There's no decisions. You have to win the bout, right? So this is an opportunity to win, right, for them. They can go in and they can start their playoffs this week, and they can say, we've turned this season around. This is playoff week number 1. If I'm on that sidelines, that's what I'm speaking. This is week 1, right? This is a playoffs for us right now. Let's continue to win and win out. They've been there. They understand how it goes. And realistically, in the past, they've been a team that had a bye in the first week, right? So now they get an opportunity to, go play. And those will be some substantial type of wins. You talk about those 2 programs that they're going to face up here, over the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, just go win and play. Your playoffs start now. It's elimination. And if it doesn't come as a win, they look at, like, what do we build on for us to go to next week and move forward. But it definitely is an opportunity for them to build some stamina here.
Yeah, and then if you look at what Meade has to go through right now, because they lost their starting quarterback for the year, and I've been texting back and forth with people up there, and they've basically been trying out some quarterbacks over the last couple of weeks where they've had, I believe it was Greeley Central and then Northridge, so they had the opportunity to let some other kids get in there and really see what they have. From a storytelling standpoint, guys, I can't think of anything better than getting Joe Klatt, their sophomore quarterback, the son of Jason Klatt, Meade's head coach, just to get him rolling, to see what he can do with that team. And that's a run-heavy team. How many times have I joked on this show that all you got to do is snap the ball and run off tackle right behind James Bennett, Big Jim, and let good things happen for your running game? So if you get a sophomore quarterback who's, savvy enough to understand that and who can make throws when they need to, that could be really, really fun. So and anything else in 3A? I mean, we still have 2 weeks left of that regular season, but is anything jumping out at you? Windsor takes over the number 1 spot in the seeding index, which I think is pretty big for them. Meade and Pomona sitting at 2-3, which is probably right. And Holy Family right there at number 4. What are we seeing from the top end of that classification? James?
Yeah, sorry. Drifting off. I think what's interesting, Dan, is after Thompson Valley, and I'm glad you mentioned them earlier, can they play their way back into it is my question. So you lose that early game in September that maybe nobody counted on you to lose. I know they were ranked 2nd for us and we dropped them down a bit. But that's, to me, that is that entire side, because that is the giant elephant in the room that everybody's probably like, doesn't want to talk about, like they're down there. But no, you win a couple of games this week and next week and you're right there. So to me, that is the most fascinating story coming out of 3A. That's the one that I have my eye on with Thompson Valley. Can they play their way into a bye?
Moving on, I really like to make sure I save face here when I make my drive into Parker. Not deep into Parker.
I didn't want to bring up that game. I didn't want to bring up that game from last weekend. I was trying to help you out.
Yeah, but you see that there. I have that L on for a reason, because I came into this week ready to speak about Lutheran. I think, and that's a good game for them, right? When I say good game, not on the end of wins and losses, but hey, they grew up there. I think they were tested, and that was a great opportunity. So, and you're talking about one of the top tier teams they played. So to be able to stand toe to toe there, I think Lutheran will have some great opportunity. I'm interested to see, very excited to see how they can turn it around. Very young team, right? There are some individuals that's leading those teams. I have a couple of those young individuals on my track team. I have Nico Martinez there and Tab Burke, both of those young men who are, playing and leading their team. So as far as on the offensive side and defensive side, that's what they usually, you don't see that a lot at Lutheran teams, right? Where you're playing one side of the ball and it's one side of the ball only. And now you see these young players, skilled players playing both ways. It's Coach Robbins is a great coach. I think I love what they have there. Obviously, what they're doing in the strength room. I can't wait a year from now. We're sitting here, we're having a different conversation, because they're building something special there. And I think in the weight room, it starts there in the performance training side. And they have a great guy there with, Nate Smock is one of my old running partners over there at Landau Performance years ago. So they have a great program going on with building these young athletes. So, yeah, definitely looking to see how they can make some noise and pull something, hopefully 1 or 2 upsets there in the playoffs.
We'll see how that all goes. We got 2 weeks left of that 3A regular season, guys. In 1A, 8-man and 6-man, we had pretty much teams holding serve through the weekend. An 8-man Akron survived Sedgwick County, a good fight from the Cougars. Stratton rolled by Prairie, Buena Vista, Lyman, Centauri, all winners over the weekend. So we should see some that consistency where those top teams have been all year when playoff brackets are out on Saturday. So, Jermaine, I normally tag you out before we go to this, and then you tag yourself in every time we talk flag football. So I'll ask you on the front side, do you want to stick around with us and talk with Braelynn?
Or if you're going to exclude me when I get to meet back up with Miss Braelynn, absolutely, I will be jumping back in. So
yeah, all right. So here's what we're going to do, Jermaine. Jermaine, tell us real quick what you're excited about with Upswing. I already told you I'm excited that a week from today we will be broadcasting live from Upswing, previewing 6 of the 7 football playoff brackets. But that's what I'm excited about. What are you excited about?
We're very excited about things that people aren't excited about right now going on. We understand. I'm gonna say that again. We're excited about. We know what people aren't excited about right now. So we are starting a food drive, what we call a emergency food drive, and it's in response to the families and military and individuals who are being directly affected by the government shutdown. So we understand this. There's still kiddos and families that need to have nourishment and eat, right? There's something that goes to the wayside when you start to talk about people in need and direct need and need today. So we're excited that we're starting our food drive. So we will be posting it on our website as well as our social. You can go to our website at upswingfoundation.org to take a peek in. We'll have our opportunities where people can just come in and drop off and walk out. It's not like you have to come in and have a huge conversation. Just come in and drop off non-perishable goods, and we'll make sure we get those to the 2 churches that we've worked with, and we're going to have people to come pick up the food from there. So we're very excited. One of the churches we're going to work with, Eastern Hills Church over there in Aurora. They already do great things there on the 1st and 3rd Thursday of each month. It's called For Aurora, where they give out food. So we'll be helping to push towards that and try to help with this government shutdown. Because at the end of the day, nothing becomes political when you have little ones that are hungry.
Yeah. And that's why we love being partners with you guys, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's all about doing great things for kids. And that's why you guys have been such a valuable partner to us. Jermaine, you showed us that you flashed that ring to the camera a few minutes ago. Well, on the other side of this break, we're going to go ahead and talk to someone who just got her second. So we'll be right back with Mountain Vista flag football star Braelynn Looney.
There are those who say the modern world has made us lose touch with places like this. We say, that depends on what you're driving.
This is Tim Anderson of Gordon Insurance, and we are proud to support all of our area athletes. With offices in Lyman, Callahan, Flagler, Sterling, and Kit Carson, we offer all types of insurance, including home, auto, commercial, farm, crop, life, bonds, and workman's compensation. We are independent and thus can offer you multiple choices of companies, not just one. Call or visit the office near you, and one of our agents can take care of you. See all of our contact information by going to www.gordonins.com or call me at 719-740-1361.
Hey, we've got a state champion with us. Welcome back into the Colorado Prep Show presented by Upswing. I'm Dan Mohrmann along with James Nokes and our guy Jermaine Stafford. Flag football state championships over the weekend. It was a fun day at Trailblazers Stadium, TCA taking the 4A title, and then Mountain Vista just continuing its massive undefeated run. And with us is Braelynn Looney, the daughter of Mountain Vista boys football coach Garrett Looney. He's also your offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. I'm happy he's not screaming in the background, because if we can flash up that team trophy shot that I sent in to Danny Bailey, I mean, he was going absolutely crazy at this point of the night on Saturday, Braelynn. What was that atmosphere like for you guys?
Oh my God, it was insane. Like, I don't want to compare it to last year's, but it was way more emotional for me this year. Because I'm not a crier, like, after a win. Like, after a loss, obviously, but I don't know what that feels like with this team. For, like, last year after state, like I didn't cry at all. I was just so happy, like for all the seniors, for all this. But now that I am that senior, and that was my last ever game for my dad, for this team with Ari and all of them all together, like I just bawled my eyes out. And as he was like yelling 38-0, like it actually hit me. Like we have never lost. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, he wasn't shy about it. Is there a balance between excitement and pressure when you have something like that on your shoulders going into a game like that?
Honestly, yes, but my dad like always tells me pressure is a privilege. Like honestly, no one else except for Legend obviously can sit here this year and be like, yeah, like we are in the state championship game. There's so many people coming to watch. And for Vista personally, like we are the #1 seed. We're expected to win since the begin, like the season even started. Everyone's like, yeah, Vista's gonna two-peat, Vista's gonna two-peat, and like we have to stay humble. We have to put in that work, but like, and I'm so much pressure, but it's a privilege because we have set that precedent and we are that good. Like you should be taking it like that, you know?
Yeah. And, you mentioned Ari when she's back there, Ariana Key, your quarterback, who's, I mean, so much fun to watch. I was telling someone the other day or yesterday, the ball gets snapped and you're the snapper. The second she gets it, it looks like she's running around with a chicken with her head cut off. But when she's able to buy everyone that time, how much of an advantage is that for your team, just considering the athleticism you had on the field?
Oh, it's huge because it's all obviously flag football is always about all about spacing because you're trying to beat the defense in a way that's different from tackle almost because you don't have to you have to find the flag. You don't have to make contact, obviously. So finding space where defenders aren't, with us giving like her ability to move gives us more time to get open for her and run a complete route and get to open space. Whereas like a stable quarterback that can't make a move around the rush is going to get sacked more often, obviously, and doesn't allow the receivers to run a good corner route or run a good cop route, run a good corner post or anything like that. So it really helps us.
What's it like for you, Braelynn, when you're walking through the hallways as a state champ? Like, do you get to give it to the boys a little bit because they're still playing? Do you say, yo, I'm going to have one of these. You got one of these yet? Like, do you get to give the guys a hard time and bust them out?
No, I can't because I'm on their team too. I'm their kid.
It's true.
I can't be like, hey guys, I'm so much better than you. I got to stay humble.
I like it.
So, Braelynn, you and I go way back. Obviously, I remember you were just a little one running around with your family training.
Yes.
And I always want to put this out there, especially watching you guys as a family train. It was always beautiful. But just let our listeners and our watchers, viewers know, who's more athletic in the family, you or your dad?
Me.
That's the right answer.
Please tell me he's sitting in the room with you right now.
No, he's not. He's in film. He's going to hear that I said that's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yes.
I don't think he'd admit that, but we know what's true.
Well, he doesn't have a state championship. I can tell you. Well, not in the state of Colorado, right?
No, he won at Columbine, but he only won once. I won twice. So
that's what I mean. He only has one. You've won multiple, right? Yeah. That's the point.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up and that you bring up that you're on the boys team, because I remember at media day at the beginning of the fall, I don't know if you remember this, you girls got up there and it was such a fun conversation that we were having.
Yeah.
And so I want to re-ask this question because they cut you off. The moderator cut you girls off and basically ended your session midway through. But because your dad's the offensive coordinator, you said that you guys run a lot of the same plays that the boys are running on the tackle field. But how much fun was that last year? I know you're on the field with them this year, but how much fun was that, just understanding the concepts and, you know, the route trees and everything that was getting put together, and that you're able to kind of break it down as fans when there are probably guys sitting next to you that are clueless about what's going on?
Yeah, it's amazing because for me, football's always been a part of my life. Like, I came out of the womb and my dad was a coach, so I've always been on the sidelines. We watch football every Saturday, every Sunday. Like, high school football is like the most amazing thing ever. I like look forward to it every single week. So for me, like, all the girls that don't really understand like football or have never like been around it on our team got so exposed to it. They're watching boys games. They know what's going on. Like, my friend Lindsay on the team, she like told me, she was like, we were talking to our guy friends on the football team and they were talking about the coverages on defense. And I was like, I run the same thing. Like, it's like, there used to be such like a divide between, oh, girls don't know football, girls don't know what they're doing. And now we sit on the sideline, or I sit on the sideline, and we sit in the stands and we watch it and we understand what's going on and we love the sport. And then on NFL teams, we know cover 3, we know cover 2, we know the routes. Like it's so like almost liberating for like girls to like, we know what we're talking about. Like we know football.
Yeah, so Braelynn, thinking about that, talking about that, if girls don't know what they're doing, anytime you win a championship, especially in this state, starting out a new sport like this, in all seriousness, what do you plan and what would you like to do to be an ambassador to other little young women that can start this sport and was still doing other sports? Obviously, you've seen it with the young lady there in Legend and with yourself playing 2 sports. What would you say to other athletes, young athletes like yourself, who are looking to start flag football?
Honestly, the cool thing about flag not being super huge right now is that all of us right now are the pioneers of the sport. Like we're setting the stage. And I feel like flag football for girls has never been taken seriously because it's never been allowed to. Like even like my sophomore year was the first time it was an inaugural sport. So all of us were just like, hey, we're athletic. I think we could catch the ball. Why don't we go out and do it? And now younger girls, they can start with like little rec leagues. And now that it's growing, they can have the goal as a young child to go D1 in a sport that used to just be considered powder puff and fun during homecoming. Now it's a legit competitive thing. And I love that so much. And I love being able to represent for Mountain Vista that this is the precedent. Like we won state twice. Like, and it's the first time ever that it's ever been taken seriously. So now it's like so cool for even like the younger girls on our team. And it's like our little freshman Harper Hoffmeyer, like she's going to miss us so much, but it's like, and Peyton Marr, our new quarterback next season, like, it's not pressure. Like it's pressure because it's a privilege, but it's not like, oh, I have to be Braelynn, I have to be Ari. No, be you, but be as great. Like put in the work to be as great. So it's amazing.
And I hate to do this to you, but it was the best video I got on Saturday night. But we talked about, Jermaine mentioned Lucy Thompson from Legend, who played in the state softball championship game that day, and then came over to Trailblazer and played in the flag football game. I mean, the catch she makes here is just outstanding. But the thing that I noticed with this sport is this really gives girls the chance to show off true all-around athleticism. And is that something that we're really going to start to see catch fire here in the next 2 or 3 years as this sport only continues to grow?
Yes. Like it's sorry. It's so cool because like being athletic, like I've like experienced this growing up. Like I played soccer my whole life growing up. And it's like there's only so much you can do. Like you're kicking the ball, like doing this in basketball, there's only so much you can do. But flag football is all around because there's no contact, but you can still be aggressive. It's about speed, it's about running a route, it's about intelligence. Like, and it's so cool how the best girls at flag football are the ones that play other sports because you've grown your athleticity, your athletic ability, and now you're able to display it in the sport where it matters all around. And it's just, yeah, I love it.
I liked what you're getting at, Braelynn, when you said, like, you're talking about freshmen, you're talking about underclassmen. When we talk to coaches like your dad or people that have been doing this for a long time, they always take great pride in the fact they don't have to rebuild, that they've got to just reload, that there's somebody waiting in the pipeline, that the culture has been paid forward. And you are part of doing that. You're part of paying that forward, making sure there's a pipeline there. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I agree.
Is Mountain Vista still going to have that raving lunatic assistant coach on the sidelines next year?
I think they're going to. Unfortunately for everybody except for us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Braelynn, thanks so much for jumping on and chatting with us. It was a blast. Your girls were incredible to watch all year. I cannot recommend Flag Football State Championship weekend enough to anyone who works in the sport or just wants to go, or works in high school athletics or just wants to go and check it out. So
yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, and best of luck this season with the boys. I'm sure we'll be talking to you a little bit more down the road.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. From flag football, we had great state champions crowned. TCA getting revenge over Mountain View, beat them, who had beaten them the previous year, 26-0. TCA gets the shutout win this time around. Fantastic effort by the Titans. And then, of course, Mountain Vista beats Legend for the 5A title. But we're going to shift to upcoming state championships, and we're going Actually, before we do that, Jermaine, this is probably the time that we send you packing. So appreciate you as well, bud. Can't thank you enough for everything. And James, I believe you've got a hard out of 3:00 as well. So you guys are going to let me fly solo for the first time since we've launched this show. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
I have faith in you. If anybody could do it, it's you.
That's what I like to see. Jermaine Stafford from Upswing. James Nokes, you can find his work at coloradopreps.com. He'll be doing a lot of action with us this fall during championship season. So, guys, we will chat with you. Jermaine, we will see you in-house next week. And, James, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, boys. Take care.
See you guys soon.
All right. And with that, I get to fly solo now, but not for long, as I'm going to bring in Colorado Preps cross-country guru, Bobby Reyes, who is Bobby.
Yep, I'm here.
It's your week, man.
This is
finally your week.
This is like the Super Bowl for cross-country runners. So
anyone can find Bobby's preview on the front page of coloradopreps.com. Good comprehensive information. The big question I have for you, because you mentioned it, is we haven't seen, especially in 5A, we haven't seen the big dogs take on the big dogs. And is that at this point, with where we are in the high school athletics landscape, is that by surprise? Is that by design, or is that a little bit more of this is just how it worked out this year?
I think it might just worked out that way this year. Sometimes it's by design, but to me, this just feels it just kind of fell this way. A few of these big dogs that we're talking about are NIWAT runners, and NIWAT is mostly eyeballing early December, which is the Nike Cross National Championships. They are the defending national champions. So I really feel like they've sort of started their season a little later than normal, which is why we did not see them race guys like Ben Lee or Ben Adams, who are other runners that might likely be looking at a state title this week.
Is that why they don't go to places like Liberty Bell or Cheyenne Stampede?
Yeah, I feel like NIWAT, I don't want to fully speak for them. However, I feel like a lot of times they will avoid Liberty Bell because Liberty Bell is an insanely fast course, and at times it can be misleading because you run at Liberty Bell, you're probably not going to run again in terms of the time, just because it's such a fast course. And so a lot of coaches will actually stray away from that sometimes just because they don't want to have their athletes running personal best in middle to early September and then never reach it again.
All right, let's get into what's going to happen on Saturday. Is there any specific race that you're looking at that actually has you pretty excited?
Oh, geez. Like I mentioned, this being like a Super Bowl weekend for cross-country runners, it is kind of for me too, because I've been covering the sport for years now, and I'm there every weekend, so it's really exciting. But that boys individual race that we were just kind of touching on between Ben Adams, Ben Lee, Hunter Robbie, Rocco Culpepper, Quinn Sullivan, like there's a ton of guys, and I can't pick the race. Like if I'm looking at it and I'm like trying to, dissect, who I think a favorite is, I do not see a favorite because everyone that I just mentioned has shown something at some point this season. I really feel like it's just going to be whatever happens on the day itself. And that's kind of hard to predict. But that boys individual race in 5A is absolutely wild to me. I have not seen a race like this in a long time where there can be multiple guys who could win on the day. It just depends on race strategy, depends on weather, depends on if teammates, decide to team up together to kind of take on the rest of the field. There's a lot of variables that go into play. Likewise, the girls 5A race, you've got defending state champion Addie Ritson, who's also the course record holder, undefeated this season. But what a curiosity I have here in the girls 5A race is Emery Schwam from Heritage. She's also undefeated this season, and she's had an incredible season, like a breakthrough season. But Addie is 2 years ago, she was a Nike Cross national champion. I know that she obviously wants to go back and reclaim that title this year. She's been insanely dominant all season long. So it'll girls 5A, that's another one, just some questions. But you want me to keep on rolling here?
I mean, dude, this is your floor. This is your time.
Yeah. Another big one I'm looking forward to is the boys 4A individual race in particular. We've got Oliver Horton, who has just been on a tear this season. He has been running probably one of the best seasons I've seen out of an individual, a boy, in years. And when I say that, having covered Cole Sprout and Parker Wolf is qualified for the Olympics, is an NCAA champion. And Oliver Horton has been running times and breaking course records that have been around for decades. And so what makes me excited about the boys individual race is looking at the course record, which is only about a year old. And I'm thinking if I am going to make a prediction here, I would say that Oliver could potentially break the course record and be the first runner under 15 minutes at this Penrose course, which
Whoa.
yeah, that would be wild. The course record up until a couple years ago was, I think, 15, 14, 15, 13, right around there. Cole Sprout said it, Parker Wolf reset it, and then just last year, Aiden LaRue reset it, already within 15 minutes. But Oliver, what's frightening about this, and I say this in a positive way, is he's been running like under 15 minutes on almost every course he's run when he's run a full effort, and he's running like 14:37, 14:47 on courses that are normally won in 15:20, 15:15. So he's not just breaking a course record by a few seconds here or there. He's destroying them. And if I'm guessing, I would assume that he's not really going to mess around. He's just going to go and do what he's done all season long, which is run from the front and just run fast. I really feel like we're going to see a course record fall in the 4A individual race. And, we going backtracking, we could see that in 5A as well. But with Oliver, he's just very consistently been flying this season.
Well, and you mentioned in your story that Coronado seems poised that they could take that 4A team title as well. How does Oliver maybe just getting out and doing what he needs to do for a course record, how does that play into that whole scenario? Because I know your scoring is obviously based on your placement. So in theory, getting your top guy in at number one should help. But does it affect anything, I guess, with your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys?
Yeah, that's where they have such a great pack that I really feel like what Oliver has done most of the season is he just does his thing. He's like, he's kind of like one of those, like, if I want to reference other players, I'll just say like kind of like a Bo Nix-esque since Broncos just won yesterday. But you just let them do their thing. They will take care of what they need to take care of. And Oliver getting that 1 point is what he needs to do. The only thing I can think of in reference to the team title is it's not. I feel like Coronado is a strong favorite. However, you could look at Summit as well, but Summit has Jay McDonald. So you do want to make sure you're getting your 1 point if you're Oliver. However, it's almost how much stronger are you than everyone else in the field, because sometimes it can be a little dangerous just to go out blazing a trail, and then what if it comes back and bites you and you die, or not die, but we say that the bear jumps on your back and you slow down and you barely make it to the finish. That's always a gamble. But I really feel like Oliver, I haven't seen weakness in him. And the same thing, reference to the rest of the Coronado team, I really feel like him just kind of going out and doing his thing, getting his 1 point. Their 2 through 5 can pack up or strategize that way. But ideally, you want that 1 point for your team score.
Right. Let's move down, because I'm. A lot of people will call me a homer at heart, Bobby. So I've got to ask this question. You have TCA, who's your defending girls state champion, and Manitou Springs, who returned all their runners last year from that state runner-up team, and maybe even added a little bit of depth. Do the Mustangs have a shot to end TCA's dominance in 3A girls cross country?
I feel like everyone's always got a shot, particularly when it comes to running or cross country.
Placating to your audience. I hope you know this.
Well, I say this because I've seen wild things happen. I remember a handful of years ago, the peak-to-peak girls were a huge favorite. I think they were looking to three-peat, and they had one runner just have a nightmare of a day, and it destroyed the team race entirely. That was actually, I think, one of the first years that TCA came back, and actually that was when they sort of started or restarted their just streak of state titles. And so that's why I feel like anything can happen on any given day, and this is why depth is huge in cross country. You're not looking just to have 5 runners; you're looking to have 6 or 7, just in case someone in your 5 happens to have an off day. Who's going to step in and save the day? I mean, TCA has looked insanely strong this year. They've put together some great races. I mean, this girls team could, if they were 4A, which I've heard that they are moving up to 4A. This could be a team that would challenge for the 4A state title. I think that's how good they are. But to answer your question, I don't want to be totally definitive and say like, oh no, TCA is like 100% going to do it, because Manitou Springs, they've got a strong team as well. So,
and I talked to that coaching staff, and I think the important thing to clarify is if the TCA boys and girls win, that'll be 3 titles in 4 years for them for both programs. Yep. And that will trigger that dominant program bylaw that was passed in April. So they would go up to 4A.
Yep.
if they're competing for if you think they could compete for the 4A title this year, it's one of those things where you see a lot of people like to bash the CHSA bylaws and certain policy, but that's, if they do end up moving up and they compete for that 4A title, that's the system starting to work in ways that I think it's being designed to. So
that's exactly, if you look at Niwot was 4A a few years ago. They were just very consistently winning 4A and then winning 4A with like 18 or 19 points, which is just insane in cross country to win a state title. And seeing them move up to 5A is kind of, I feel like it's all better for the sport too, because they're among more competition. Same thing for the TCA girls if they end up moving up. Same thing with the boys. It just makes everyone better, really.
Right. And when you've got those TCAs running against, like if it was the boys running against a Cheyenne Mountain team, that's always very competitive. Gosh, I'm trying to think, like Meade, I feel like in recent years has been fairly solid. Your memory is more of a steel trap than mine. I always just base this off some of the great action shots of finishes that I've gotten, the one or the two of them. Bobby, what does your day look like on Saturday? How do you go about looking for what's going to be covered during the state cross country meet?
Oh, geez. It's funny, like, so I used to run cross country. I did it high school, middle school, college, post collegiate, and I really feel like it feels the same for me now. Even though I'm just going from a coverage standpoint, it has for years, just because I still get excited, I still get nervous, I still have like my pre-race jitters, and and I've got to like calm myself down and breathe. But now instead of strategizing like how I would race on the course or who I'm racing, it's more strategizing coverage. Looking at the meet schedule and just kind of being like, okay, like where do I need to be? When do I need to be? Because another thing too I like doing is when I'm looking at these races and I'm previewing them, as an example, the boys 5A, I was kind of breaking down a bit of the strategies involved. And, if we're going to see someone like, have a kick finish, or we're going to see somebody push early on, where are they going to do that? Because I like to see it happen. Just because I don't know, I like watching these things play out. It's still a piece of me where it's fun. So yeah, I kind of just go race to race, and then who are the favorites? Is a storyline more of a team race, or is a storyline more of an individual race? And then kind of move myself around the course. It's probably one of the reasons I still run now, is just so I can be in shape enough to move around the course.
That's why we all do it, just so in the event that we have to cover state cross country, that we can move around a little bit.
Definitely.
I've always been the guy, I'll watch the start. I stand at that fire hydrant that's way out there, let all the runners go, and then I kind of go into the arena and watch them finish. But for those who don't know, the finish line at a state cross country meet looks like a battlefield triage center.
It's bodies are dropping, and
dropping like flies. You've got medics basically dragging kids into a tent, trying to get them, hydrated and regained. So it's another one of those events, Bobby, that when I got into high school sports, never had state cross country pegged as an event that I would enjoy covering. There's so much going on this weekend that as much I probably will be there. I'll probably see you a little bit, probably more in the afternoon, but having you on board has been probably one of the best moves we've made this fall with Colorado Prep. So we appreciate all the coverage. We're looking forward to it. Catch all of Bobby's stuff on coloradopreps.com. Be sure to check out his podcast, Spiked Up, which you can find on his YouTube channel and embedded in every story of his that we post on coloradopreps.com. So Bobby, we will see you Saturday. Get a good run in.
Sure. Yeah.
Make sure you can breathe and have a blast, man.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. Bobby Reyes has been a great addition to the Colorado Preps contributing staff, and he will have all the cross-country action ready to go on Saturday. Quick note before we get out of here, I would have loved to dive into this more, maybe on a fall recap podcast. We will definitely do that, grab some winning players or coaches. But state softball did play out at Aurora Sports Park over the weekend. We had some fairly crazy outcomes just in terms of the 5A game. Broomfield was up early, then they Legend came back, took the lead, and then an 11-run inning saw Broomfield get a 17-7 state title win over Legend. Of course, we mentioned Lucy Thompson, who we had that video of during the flag football championship game. She played for Legend in that game, kind of pulling a Deion Sanders circa early 90s, went from softball to football to get that done. In 4A, Holy Family, they got down early, battled back, and actually took down number 1 Windsor to claim their first state title, I believe, since 2019. Crazy game. Windsor ends up being the only number 1 seed to not win, as in 3A, the rivalry between University and Eaton reignited, and it was the Bulldogs coming away with a win and a state championship to take up to the Greeley area. So that's going to do it for us. As much as I'd love to fly solo on this thing, it's really better when you have someone else to banter with. I am going to do a quick shout out to our standouts, letter winners that we do every week. Brooklyn Blair from TCA Flag Football. You want to talk about big-time player making big-time plays. She had 3 interceptions, including a pick 6, to help power the Titans to their first state championship in flag football. Jacob Dunning down at Lamar Football threw for 248 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Thunder beat Banning Lewis to stay kind of in that number 10-11 range of the 2A football seeding index. Of course, that bracket with everyone else will be released on Saturday. And then Jalen Sandoval from Holy Family Softball, she went 3 for 4, and she had the go-ahead 2 RBI double as the Tigers came back to beat Windsor in the 4A softball state championship game. We have a huge week coming up in Colorado Preps. The Cheyenne Mountain Volleyball Tournament kicks off on Friday. That action from the Broadmoor World Arena, think of it as a dress rehearsal for the state tournament. It really... Chris Roberts, the Cheyenne Mountain Athletic Director, texted me last night that 18 of the 32 teams involved will be hosting regionals as long as their seats hold into next week. So that's a big one. Bobby, we just talked to, he'll be at state cross country. He'll have all the action covered there. I'll try and help run over there in the afternoon on Saturday and give him a little bit of an assist. And then we have the final weekend for most of the football regular season. Class 3A has one more week, but everyone else will finish up on Saturday. State tournament brackets will be released on Sunday, and at Monday, we will be broadcasting live from Upswing, hopefully talking to a lot of coaches, maybe a player or two, about the upcoming football playoffs, which is going to be great. And then on Tuesday next week, we're excited. The road to state begins in Colorado Springs at Raising Canes. We'll have more information, of course, through the week, and we'll be we should have a great time in terms of giveaways, information on what teams need to do in order to make that run to either Pueblo or Fort Collins over the course of the next month. So thanks, everyone, for joining in. We'll be back next week with not just Doug, but a full allotment of people at the Upswing facility. For everyone else, for James Nokes, Jermaine Stafford, Braelynn Looney, Bobby Reyes, Danny Bailey, I'm Dan Mohrmann. This has been the Colorado Prep Show presented by Upswing.